Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. This week we talk to the Keren Eldad. And we talk about a lot of things, but we really dig into judgment. How judgment of ourselves and judgment of others is ultimately getting in our own way. So settle in. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hi, Karen. It's really amazing to be with you here today because you are such a big part of the reason why A, I'm putting myself out there, B, I'm doing anything kind of creative and public, and three, you gave me so many worldviews that have expanded how I see myself and how I can live my life. So I'm excited to share any of that nuggets with people who are listening. And thank you so much for being here and being part of this incredible new journey that I'm on.
The honor is all mine. Thank you so much for having me. It's a joy to see you here, my friend.
Okay. So, as you know, or if someone's just tuning in to this episode of Say Out Loud, season two, I am personally going through a bit of a transformation where I have recently stepped down from a kick ass job to pursue and make space for so many things that have been brewing in me since I was young and much more recently as well. So I just am inspired to inspire and to inspire different bold actions. So I kind of wanted Coach K, as I call you, to just kind of kick off with something light, which is, have you done anything brave or bold in your life this past week?
Oh, yes. It's unfortunately not going to be light, but I have done something very brave with my
Mm.
life this week, and it was to dismiss a client. As you already know, because you've worked with me for a very long time, though I have a bit of a bombastic presence, I have the spine of a gummy worm, and I do not enjoy conflict at all. But unfortunately, the right thing to do, as Brene Brown says, is to be clear or to be honest, and that is what's truly kind. And in order to do that, every time I do something like this, that's legit hard for me. I have the hard conversation. I break the contract. I take the big risk. Every single time I feel that that elevates my consciousness a little bit further. Every time I'm courageous, it makes me stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah, wow, that's hard. And it sounds just like you to like act in alignment with your values and your integrity and what you know is right. You also have a podcast that you release in big ways, but in small increments throughout whenever you know you're inspired. And I listened to one this morning, and you had this quote that said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we must change ourselves," which I know is not your quote, it's Viktor Frankl, but this is you. This is you pulling from all the resources that the universe gives you across disciplines and across religions. And I think that you have shown me that the resistance to a situation and the trying to maneuver the situation to serve me is freaking pointless. And it's really all about how I can change myself. But before we get into me, you have done that. And I know you've talked about this plenty of times in your books and in your teachings. But I find it really um, beautiful and heart wrenching to hear how the hell you got here and how did you find this higher consciousness, and were you always like this?
No, of course not. No one is born enlightened, and I'm on my way there. Maybe in 50 years I'll get there, but I'm definitely much better than where I started. That Viktor Frankl quote is an apt place to jump off from because what happened to me in my early 30s, what happens to most people in their late 30s, their mid 40s, also known as the midlife crisis years, is we start to understand that we cannot change the world. We can't. There's nothing we can do about the circumstances. We cannot really do anything about the cards we're dealt, but we can change ourselves. We can change our perspectives and our ability to respond to the world. In my early 30s, I had been a person who had done everything quote unquote right, which made me expect that everything in my life would then reflect back to me awesomeness. So I got the good grades and I went to the proper school. I married a tall man, which, as you know, Kara, is the height of all of our aspirations.
Absolutely.
I mean, right? I hadn't eaten since 1994, and I was really good, and I got the C-suite jobs, and I stayed very quiet and low profile, and I just did everything right. And I ended up with a job that was okay, but I definitely wasn't thinking, yeah, this is what I'm called to do with my life. And on a much graver scale, I was in a marriage that was abusive. I was in an apartment and surrounded by possessions that I could not afford, that they were all keeping up with the Joneses. And I also remember being deeply sad. I was also lying about my emotional wellness. So, all of the results that I'm getting through my life are not reflecting back to me what I'm supposed to be getting, right? My deal is off. And when I started to realize that railing against the machine is going to get me a whole bucket of nothing, I started to turn inward and start to improve and change my mindset, to optimize my mindset for what can we do and what is possible for me and how do we still find peace and joy here. And this is when in my early to mid 30s, first I burned everything to the ground, went through a super fun divorce. I'm saying that facetiously, of course. I lost all my things in a fire, which was a fun universal coincidence. My cats died. But all of this allows me to basically emerge in a vacuum. When you lose everything that you're latching onto, including your job, you have no way to go but up. And my way to go up was to read. That was all I could afford. So for a long time, I just read all the self-help books I could get my paws on. Once I started getting a little bit more money by getting odd jobs and by starting to get back on my feet, I spent all of it on coaching, retreats, you name it. Tony Robbins, Jen Sincero, I got it. And years later, I emerge with just a completely different sense of self and a completely different worldview. And this allows me eventually to build a completely new career. And here we are.
You're right. And a new marriage and a whole new perspective on life. That is so inspiring. I wish I knew you then. I wonder just like how different you are. I I know you say, which I guess scares me sometimes, but I think when we first were getting to know each other, you said something about like, well, Cara, you're either kind of going to deal with this now or you're going to deal with it later, basically. And so, would you mind talking about that? Like, a lot of us, or I feel, I hope, people have a gnawing feeling of something isn't quite right, or shit, I wish I could change this, or I wish I could stop spinning my kids around trying to do this all the time because I was really not making any of us happy. How, yeah, can you just share your perspective on listening to that, ignoring it, when it might come back up, just like hearing that voice?
With immense pleasure. I imagine that the audience is tuning in again and again for this exact same thing. Let's make it very concrete for people. Number one, what you're feeling. Number two, how you can pay attention to it. And number three, what will happen if you don't. Number one, the feelings that you want to look out for are the quiet, numb feelings: aimlessness, boredom, doom scrolling, resentment, anxiety in all its forms, overwhelm, overthinking. All of those super quiet scripts that are just running in the background like a relentless talk show and that are driving behaviors of numbing. Doom scrolling is a numbing behavior. Online shopping is a numbing behavior. They're all trying to calm our nervous system. Me with my obsession with cat videos. If it goes a little out of hand, that is a numbing behavior. Workaholism is a numbing behavior. So you have to start asking yourself, is it time I paid attention to this? Is this getting out of hand? Because remember, addicts, the first thing they always say is, I can stop whenever I want. But then I challenge you to stop whenever you want and see how you feel. People who are really interested in doom scrolling, they put the phone away for a couple of hours and start getting jittery. So it's really important for us to identify that something is there and that I should pay attention to it. That's 50% of the job. Number two, if you are ready to, lean into it. And the first way I would lean into it is tiny little kitten steps. You don't have to hire a coach right away. As Cara will tell you, it's like jumping into a fire. But instead, listen to more podcasts, consume more, go down the rabbit hole, read more books, pick up the best self-help books in the world. You're a Badass by Jen Sincero. anything by Napoleon Hill, for example, Think and Grow Rich. These are old-timey books. The Stoics, Man's Search for Reason by Viktor Frankl, The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, the top classics, Gilded by Coach Keren Eldad. Read the books, spend time with them, and start watching what happens to you, because you're going to find answers that will feel like deep epiphanies to you and that will shake your world. And when you start feeling that, you're already going to start to break through, and your next steps will become clearer and clearer. Now, here's the third thing, Cara, because I promised I'd also talk about the you can run, but you can't hide thing. You can deal with it now, or you can deal with it later. Here's the deal. Once you become aware that these emotions are happening to you because you're not doing enough of what really lights you up, and because you are not honoring your life as fully as you can, there will be no escaping the fact that that genie is out of the bottle, and she gonna get louder. So I like to say, you can deal with it yourself, or the universe will send you with love a shitstorm so that you have to deal with it. Some people think, what, are you wishing upon me a shitstorm? No, I'm just saying that's how the world works. It's going to wake you up because it wants you to find that destiny.
Yeah.
It wants to help you.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So let me just kind of like sit with that in my mind. Right. There's a feeling, you're ignoring it, you're numbing it, you're jumping into all the other things, productivity, um, obviously perfectionism. We'll get into that. I want to talk about judgment. Okay. But just lean in, notice it, and then run with it. Learn as much as you can. Okay. So then what if you're not inclined to self-help? Then you're probably not our person and they're not listening to this, but I am just,
I don't think
yeah.
we're going to sound super annoying to you, but I will say that you may want to check your cynicism a little bit and ask yourself
Ooh,
why. And if your assumptions, the assumptions are this is ridiculous, it's ludicrous, it's silly, then just look at a person like me, look at the results I've created in my life, and ask yourself, is it so silly?
fair enough. Yeah.
Just if it works for me, if it works for Warren Buffett, we can't all be crazy. And so, one of the things that I would think of is really, why am I making this so hard? And the real question that's popping up as a form of resistance is the question, what's bad about this? Like, why is this so garbage feeling? And the reframe question that I would dare you all to ask if you are resisting this, and if we're sounding annoying to you, is, what's right about this that I'm not getting? What's right about this that I'm not getting? Whenever we stand in judgment, it's simply because we are in an environment that's new and we're scared. We're just scared because it'll question almost all elements of our identity. And I understand how hard it is to have to confront your own identity. But when you start asking the question, are these freaks happy? And does that sound like something I could get on board with and maybe learn from? You'll start to lean into us more. Just to make it crystal clear for anyone listening, let's talk about how this played out. At first, in my big first transformation, I was constantly telling myself, my form of numbing and my form of aimlessness was to just constantly tell myself, it's fine, it'll be okay, I can figure this out. Divorce is not an option. Maybe this will work. He's going to get better. Until one day, big trauma came to my door because I just ignored it. I knew something was happening. I didn't want to take a look at it because I knew that taking a look at it would question my identity, would mean going through a divorce, would mean changing everything and probably having to start from scratch, which in my mid-30s I was not interested in doing. But then the universe sent me trauma, a fire, a robbery. We were robbed. All of my things were robbed. That's when I discovered that all of our finances, which had been managed by him, were a complete farce. And I also then remember hiding in the bathroom. It was just Jack and Jill bathroom, and he locked me in and he threatened to kill my cats if I didn't get out. Now listen, if you're in a situation that's this traumatic, this is what I mean by shitstorm. Your job is to go, I feel like maybe we need to do something about this now. And that's when you'll finally get with the program.
Oh, that makes me angry.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. You're okay. We're okay. It happens.
Well,
Um,
yeah.
Keren, I kind of want to sit with this um, theme of resistance and judgment, I am paying more attention to that, both where I am trying to force something or resisting anything, and just trying to bring more ease and flow, which is, I know, something that you teach, and it is the way that the universe works. And on the other side, I'm noticing where I'm judging other people, because of course that means that I'm judging myself, and I'm learning how much extra that layer of judgment that I do apply to anything, big or small, and how even now it's confronting me as I'm launching the podcast, as I'm quitting my job, all of these things, which is normal. But how do we work through that?
I'll help you and I'll help a lot of other people. What you're stumbling on, and I'm glad you brought up judgment again, is again the beginning of the process. And the beginning of the process, unfortunately, we will continue to see again and again because you and I are wound a certain way. All overachievers are. We are intensely focused. We have slight perfectionist tendencies. I'm being kind,
I
by the
appreciate
way.
it.
And we have what I like to call a very specific form, therefore, of imposter syndrome known as know-it-allism. Know-it-allism is our defense. We learn in childhood, if I can have the answers and I can sort through this and I can look like I'm all together, then they can't hurt me. They can't hurt me. And this turns, unfortunately, into a form of perfectionism. Perfectionism is judgment towards the self for not hitting an arbitrary standard, which then turns into judgment towards others for not hitting arbitrary standards. And what's really happening is our own inability to deal with the terror of doing something new, of doing something that forces us to expand, and of doing something in which we are basically putting ourselves at the mercy of uncertainty and therefore at the probability of making a mistake or of failure. So if I stay here in judgment, it looks like I already got it sorted and I risk nothing. It's fantastic. It's a great deal. Now, unfortunately, it's only a great deal if you want to stay here. If you really want excellence and you are lunging into excellence, I told you before, you're my little Oprah. You are truly leaning into your genius. You will unfortunately have to do two things to break through this resistance. Number one, you will have to come into awareness. And coming to awareness is own it with no shame. When I sit at a mastermind with other coaches, and by the way, I do often, as you know, and I usually have the same thought. What is this loser going to teach me? I turn into Miss Piggy in my head. I immediately go, oop, there you go. You're doing it again. Awareness, switch on. The resistance is on. That means my ego has kicked into play. And then I have to deal with the fact that I feel threatened. Something about this feels threatening to me. Something about this feels not safe. What's wrong? What's wrong? Is it okay to just deal with I'm scared?
Yeah.
There you go. Number two, the second thing you're going to have to do is transcend it by reaching for your higher self. Your higher self does not judge. We all have a petty Keren in our head. I know, my name lends itself perfectly. But we also have a higher Keren, a great Keren, a person who is harmonic and interested in peace and love and compassionate and of service, and who understands that I'm going to die and I should have a good time around here. Who's easier, who's more relaxed, who's less serious. And when you reach for her, she can start coming through for you. This is the ultimate reframe. Takes an enormous amount of practice, especially the first part, because calling ourselves on our own poop, as you know, very difficult. But you can start doing it very easily. Watching your thoughts is hard, Cara, but for everybody out there, just watch what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
If you're starting to say things that sound weird, defeatist, or judgmental, Keren's talking, not you.
Oh my gosh, Keren, so much there. So working with you, you give a book a week at minimum. And one of the craziest books that you've given me that I love and is freaky is Satan, Satan or whatever, however you say it.
Satan, an autobiography by the Rav Berg.
Shit. Yo, that is crazy. Like, yeah. I mean, even yeah, that really helped me think about who is driving the bus, who is driving the thoughts. So anybody listening who likes
Who's
that, yeah,
talking?
yeah,
Who's
who's talking?
talking? I love Satan as a concept, or Satan. In Hebrew, Satan means opponent, not enemy. And the Kabbalistic understanding is that our ego is a separate self who is trying to trigger us in order for our souls to elevate above that. He's not a foe, he is a helper. And I tell you, I've learned to understand her whenever she starts to get a little too highfalutin, or whenever she starts to get a little too judgy, to understand that I'm not in the car anymore. It's Satan, or it's Satan, or Satan, whatever you want to pronounce it as, who is driving the car. It is not me. And my job is to become aware, to understand I'm scared, and to push above.
I think that is so freaking cool. Okay, so I'm saying out loud so I don't forget. There's two things that I want to build from here. One is pushing above, which is easier, but you have a lot of fun perspectives on that I want to talk about. But maybe something that I just want to nugget. Sometimes people will come to me and they'll just be like, okay, I don't know if I need a therapist or I need a coach. And your work does uncover, some shadow side, some work that I think you probably are why I forgive my parents for, not kissing me and loving me all the time. And so there is some of that in the coaching work. And I guess it's just, for some reason, I feel like maybe you have a perspective on that. And if you don't, that's fine too. But how does someone know, like, oh, something's off and I probably need this kind of help and digging into that childhood stuff? Or, you know what, I actually probably need more of a coach by definition. Yeah.
I think that the understanding of the difference between coaching and therapy will make it easy for people to make their selection. And the real answer is neither. It's literally whatever floats your boat, or
Oh,
what speaks
cool.
more to your behavioral style. Some people are results oriented, some people are not, and really that will determine where you go. There are three key differences between coaching and therapy, or traditional therapy and traditional coaching as defined by the International Coaching Federation. Number one, coaching doesn't look back. Yes, we do understand that you, at the age of 40, for some reason think your parents should have kissed you more. But what really matters is the meaning that you're making out of it and the
Yeah.
beliefs that you've carried through it, not what mom and dad did. There's no need to, really delve into that and spend a lot of time with that child. It's really just what's going on now in the here and now, because coaching is focused forward, not backwards. We are trying to get you from A to Z. The second critical difference is, and you already mentioned it to your audience, coaching is work heavy. Therapy rarely, if any time, prescribes homework. Coaching always prescribes homework. There are exercises, and what our premise is that words don't teach. You're actually going out, exercising it, engaging with the work, and then moving it forward with your decisions and actions is what will modify your behavior. And third, because we are results oriented, technically coaching ends. Now, I realize that that is a very heartbreaking thing for you to hear. But my job is not to walk alongside you. My job is to leave you at the foot of your next mountain and say, "Go get him, buddy." And let me know if there's ever a big crisis and you re-enter the process, because we transition many times in life. That's it. That's how this
Oh, that's
works.
cool.
Where therapy can go on forever and ever and nobody needs to get
Yeah,
better.
wow. I don't think I've ever heard that clearly. I hope that helps people. I think it might. But all right. So you've identified this feeling. You're deciding to pay attention to it. You're going down the rabbit hole. You're letting it breathe a little bit in whatever, like you said, whatever modality serves you, wherever you find your person. Um, and then there's the concept of like going from like a little bit of a ladder of how you're feeling inside, where you're down here, there's some low level emotions which you can talk to us about, and getting up to like the highest, that higher self, that like ultimate feeling, even if it's not like on a spiritual level, but just literally how you feel in your body in a day to day. And you really talk about different ways that we can do that, from like pleasure and sex and shopping to like being in the spiritual gym. And like, I hate to say that really helps me. I can err on the side of like, woe is me, unless I switch back into like play and silly and fun and love. And I think that that's a really fun light switch, if you could just talk about that.
What happens to you through the self inquiry process is you become friskier and friskier. And as you become friskier and friskier, you take bigger risks. You can't spell frisk without risk.
Ooh.
TM. Um, you feel the aim of all mental health work, by the way, for us and for the therapist, is to move your emotions higher. And that's essentially it, to allow you to resolve so that you can start moving from your higher needs than from your lower needs. Your lower needs are always going to be, and this is not Maslow is your physical needs. Your emotional needs, as defined by Carl Jung and later iterated even by Tony Robbins, is certainty and significance are at the very bottom. What's happening to most people who are trapped in an existence that does not please them and seem to be going in a purgatory merry-go-round of garbage is usually they have over prioritized their safety. In other words, I don't want any change. Change is bad and scary. And the second is they've prioritized their status, their current status. They are so afraid of losing it that they're not willing to break out of it. This is known as significance, the need for validation. So if we cannot break past our society and past our present circumstances, we're not going anywhere. We're just going to continue to perpetuate whatever keeps us here, the habits, the people, the circumstances. If we start to indulge in these books, these witchcraft books that Kara and I are talking about, and coaching and all of the things, we start moving up to the third level, which is uncertainty. We start really liking variety. We start getting a little spicier. Then we move into the fourth, which is love. We start craving real love. We start craving real connection, not a roommate, not a business partner, real love, real connection. That's when we start to play. That's when we start to make new friends. That's when we start to indulge our hobbies. Then we can start to move into growth, the fifth requirement. And this is where we really start looking for our soul's purpose. We start really craving our preferences. If we love dogs all our life, we start spending more times with dogs. If, like my husband, you like fishing, you start fishing all the time. You literally start to move into what truly moves you into the zone of growth. And then, finally, if you transcend that, and I think I've met zero people who have, you move into contribution beyond yourself, absolute altruism. And that's just a complete removal of self, where we just start living to help. People have a roadmap. They can sort of gauge where they are and just be honest with yourself. Where am I living from? One of the most hilarious things that happens to me, Cara, because, I coach a lot of organizations or people in organizational session, is many people say to me, that's where I live, Keren. I live in contribution beyond the self. And I go, that's great. It's so nice to finally meet the Mahatma. But I understand he died several years ago.
And you know what's interesting? It's like
It's okay if you live in certainty. It's fine. It's knowledge is power.
it is, and I don't know how you feel about this, and or how you coach your people, your folks, but I go through this process several times a day, where I might wake up in the morning on a lower frequency, or worried about this one thing, and then I have my for some reason how I'm wired, I have to actively get out of that, and then I'll stay there, and then something might piss me off, but then I can kind of work to get back. I need a 10-minute walk. I need to look at something funny, like shake it off, like actively realign, which I don't think I realized. I probably would have found it annoying to know, like, oh, this isn't something you do and you're done. Like, no, that bitch, this is a thing that you nurture as much as you want in order to feel as best as you can. Yeah.
And that's why you bringing up the spiritual gym is exactly right. The antidote is not to transcend this. You never will, hugs Keren. But what you can do is start building buffer habits. For example, as you know, I have two very, very bad habits. One of them is shopping and the other one is politics. I don't know which is worse, frankly. Both are absolute garbage for the soul. This is my junk food. And I understand that the junk food will probably not leave me, especially I grew up in a political household. Like, it feels like home, literally, to my nervous system. What I do understand is I have to, for every one of these Pod Save America episodes I consume, balance it out with some real heavy Abraham Hicks, or with a walk for an hour and some food and some exercise, because otherwise it will get out of balance very quickly. So you just start to build your buffers and you take them super seriously.
I'm so glad you said that. I almost wasn't even going to touch on that, but that is so good. First of all, it's cool that you know your thing, even as a coach and all of that. Okay, I have my things, but it's also about like balancing that. I told my friend, this is a total side note, I told a vegan friend to give me one book, give me one shot at trying to transform me in my eating habits. And I just wanted to know. And the book that I'm reading, that I'm choosing to read, I actually forgot the name of it, is it talks about that from an eating habit. Like, yeah, sure, have your spaghetti. But what if you put a little bit more lentils in there or something? Like that really helps on a
Yeah,
cellular level do what it needs to do. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
exactly. Listen, it's the same with food. I tried giving up sugar. I became aggressively
Yeah.
sad. But now, if you make sure to eat some fruit too every now and again and a little bit of lettuce, not so
Yeah,
terrible.
exactly. Um, Amazing, Coach K. This is, I mean, I feel like we could talk about a lot of things. I like to just flip it. I mean, no pressure for you. But if there's anything, fun you want to ask me or tap into me at the end of this little chat, shoot me.
Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
cool.
The rest of this interview will be run by
Oh,
Coach
no.
Keren. Cara, what do you think has been the biggest thing that's transformed for you in the last 2 years?
I can think of two things that are coming straight out. One is I now firmly believe anything is possible. And I have faith, which I don't think I've had before. There's a deep, calm, trusting that I can at least find to support that, you know what, kind of anything that we think or want, maybe we see it in our lifetime, maybe we don't, but we can create, and that doesn't have to be matched with a worry or a yearning or a push or a stress. Sure, but also a deep trusting.
Yeah. And what do you want this faith to result in?
That's probably where we still have work to do. I was thinking about that this morning, where you talk about like splitting, almost splitting your consciousness and like saying the thing but hedging on the thing a little bit, and how that blocks what's coming. Um, what's the most truest thing I can say right now? What do I want this faith to bring? Freedom. And what I mean by that is I want to own as much of my time and my daily rhythm as possible. Um, as much fun and experience and adventure as I can for myself and my family. And exposure to places and people that I wouldn't even have dreamed of being around.
I love that because it's going to resonate so deeply with so many people who are seeking autonomy, freedom, ownership of their time, and a really different existence for their family, basically all the possibilities. The only thing you need to do now to get from here to there is to not let up on it. That's kind of it. As long as the desire feels good to you, you're in the right direction. What I mean by that is we let up on our desire when the desire starts to feel bad to us. Like when somebody says, "Why can't I get married? And it's so sad and I'm just getting old and all the men are terrible." I'm like, "Wow, you are letting go of your own desire. Your job is to bring yourself always up to speed with your desire. Always up to speed with your desire. And from there to act on it and to act on it and to act on it." Yeah, that's really great. I'm delighted because that's the number one outcome of all of coaching. I believe it's just the removal of the limiting beliefs and you finding unity with your real desires.
Amazing. Beautiful, Coach K. Thank you.
The honor is mine. Believe me when I say from the bottom of my heart, you're doing me the favor. It's a really wonderful thing you're doing.
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you.
Ciao.